If you think Hollywood stars have always lived in mansions and luxury cars, you're going to be surprised by what you hear today. Before hitting play, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we're going to reveal stories that very few people know about some of the world's most successful celebrities. What we're going to discover today is that the path to fame isn't always paved with gold. In fact, some of Hollywood's brightest stars live through their darkest moments sleeping in cars, shelters, and even on the streets. These stories won't just impact you, they'll show you that real success comes after the most extreme perseverance. Sylvester Stallone, the man who sold his best friend. We start with one of Hollywood's most heart-wrenching stories. Sylvester Stallone, the man who played Rocky Balboa, lived in a bus station in New York before his meteoric rise to fame. But what very few people know is the most painful part of his story. Stallone was so economically desperate that he had to make one of the toughest decisions of his life, selling his dog, his only faithful companion, for $25. Imagine the desperation of having to part with the only being that stands by you in the toughest moments of your life just to be able to eat. But here comes the part that will move you. When he finally managed to sell the script for Rocky, one of the first things he did was look for the man who had bought his dog. He offered $15,000 to get him back. The man refused. Stallone kept increasing the offer until he finally managed to recover his companion for $15,000. That's real loyalty. Stallone's story teaches us that sometimes you have to sacrifice what you love most to survive. But when success comes, you never forget where you came from or who was with you in the worst moments. Jennifer Lopez, from sleeping in a studio to conquering the world. Jennifer Lopez, one of the biggest stars in global entertainment, experienced homelessness before becoming the megastar we know today. Her story is a perfect example of how following your dreams can cost you everything you have, but in the end it's worth it. Lopez was kicked out of her home for choosing to pursue a career in dance instead of a university education. Her mother wanted her to take the traditional path: university, stable career, predictable life. But Jennifer had other plans. During the first months after leaving home, Jennifer had to sleep on the couch in the dance studio where she took classes. She didn't have money for an apartment, barely had money to eat, but she had something more valuable: unbreakable determination. What impresses me most about Jlo's story is that she never lost hope. While her childhood friends followed safer paths, she was betting everything on a dream that seemed impossible. And look where she is now. Singer, actress, businesswoman, with an empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Her story reminds us that sometimes you have to choose between comfort and your dreams. And that parents, even though they love us, don't always understand the vision we have for our lives. Jim Carrey, laughter born from pain. At 12 years old, Jim Carrey and his parents found themselves living in a van after his father lost his job. For a child that age, that experience could have been devastating. But Jim turned it into fuel for his humor. Carrey's tough start only made him stronger and more capable of persevering in comedy. During those days sleeping in the van, Jim developed his ability to make his family laugh. It was his way of keeping spirits up when all seemed lost. The Carrey family not only lost their home, but Jim had to work as a janitor in a factory to help with family expenses. Imagine being a teenager, working nights as a janitor, and still keeping the dream of making people laugh alive. The fascinating thing about Jim Carrey is that he never allowed circumstances to define his future. In fact, he carried a blank check in his wallet for $10 million, signed to himself, dated for Thanksgiving 1995. It was his constant reminder that he was going to reach the top. And indeed, just before that date, he received exactly that amount for Dumb and Dumber. Visualization and perseverance can create literal miracles. Halle Berry, from a shelter to the Oscar. Halle Berry, having moved from Chicago to New York with the firm goal of becoming an actress, soon found herself without a means of living and was forced to live in a homeless shelter for some time. Halle's family did not support the girl in her decision to pursue acting. Here we have a woman who would eventually become the first African-American woman to win the Oscar for Best Actress, living in a shelter because she believed in her talent when no one else did. Halle's story is particularly powerful because it shows that family support, although important, is not essential for success. When you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, you can overcome even the lack of support from the people closest to you. During those days in the shelter, Hallie wasn't just fighting against poverty, but also against racism in an industry that didn't have many opportunities for women who looked like her. Every audition was a double battle to prove her talent and break racial barriers. What I admire most about Barry is that she never used her circumstances as an excuse. Instead of complaining or giving up, she channeled all that adversity into fuel for her determination. Every no she received, every door that closed on her, only motivated her more to prove them wrong. Hilary Swank, the car that became home. Hilary Swank lived in a car with her mother when they moved to Los Angeles to pursue her acting dream. This story is especially emotional because it involves the sacrifice of a mother who believed in her daughter's talent more than her own comfort. Hilary's mother left everything behind, her job, her home, her stable life, to bet on her daughter's dream. They arrived in Los Angeles with just $75 and a car that became their temporary home. 4 weeks, mother and daughter slept in that car, bathed in public bathrooms, and ate the cheapest food they could find. But they had something that money can't buy: mutual faith and unbreakable determination. What makes this story even more incredible is that Hilary not only succeeded but won 2 Oscars, one for Boys Don't Cry, and another for $1 Million Baby. Think about that. From sleeping in a car to holding 2 of the most prestigious awards in the entertainment industry. Hilary's story teaches us that unconditional support can come in different forms. It's not always money or connections. Sometimes it's someone who believes in you enough to risk everything for your dreams. If you're enjoying these stories, like the video so YouTube knows you want to see more content like this. Chris Pratt, the optimist of the beach. Chris Pratt ended up living in Maui, Hawaii, sleeping in a van and a tent on the beach. Despite his situation, Pratt believed it was an incredible place to be homeless. Chris Pratt's story is unique because it shows that your attitude can transform any situation. While others might have seen his situation as a total failure, he saw it as an adventure. Chris had dropped out of college and moved to Hawaii with very little money. He worked in a restaurant, but the salary barely allowed him to survive. Instead of despairing, he decided to embrace the experience. He slept on the beach, woke up to the sound of the waves, and spent his free days surfing and exploring the island. He didn't have money, but he had something more valuable: a positive perspective that eventually led him to stardom. It was during this period that a talent scout discovered him acting in a local play. The rest, as they say, is history. From Parks and Recreation to Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris showed that sometimes the most unexpected detours take you exactly where you need to be. His story teaches us that no matter how difficult the circumstances, you can always choose your attitude. And that choice can completely change the course of your life. Kelly Clarkson, From the Car to American Idol. Kelly Clarkson lived in her car and in unfurnished apartments before American Idol. Her story is fascinating because it shows how perfect timing can change a life forever. Kelly had come to Los Angeles from Texas with the dream of making music. Like many other aspiring artists, she quickly realized that the city of angels can be ruthless to those without connections or money. 4 months, she lived in her car, using gas station bathrooms to clean up and eating the cheapest food she could find. There were cheap apartments where she could occasionally stay, but most of the time she didn't even have furniture. The irony is that when American Idol announced its auditions, Kelly almost didn't go. She was so discouraged by all the rejections she had received that she thought it would be another waste of time. But something motivated her to try one more time. That last-minute decision changed her life forever. Not only did she win American Idol, but she also became one of the most successful artists to come out of the show. 3 Grammys, multiple #1 albums, and now her own talk show. Kelly's story reminds us that we never know when our opportunity will come. That audition she almost canceled, that call she almost didn't make, that project she almost abandoned, could be exactly what she was waiting for. Shania Twain, the survivor. Shania Twain also experienced homelessness before finding fame. Her story is particularly powerful because it includes not only extreme poverty, but also domestic violence and overwhelming family responsibilities. Shania grew up in a dysfunctional family where domestic violence was common. Her stepfather was an alcoholic and abusive, and her mother struggled to keep the family together. There were periods where they literally had nowhere to live and had to rely on the charity of strangers. At 22 years old, her parents died in a car accident leaving her responsible for raising her younger siblings. Imagine, you've just lost your parents, you barely have resources to survive, and now you're responsible for supporting a family. Shania had to work at anything she could find, from cutting trees to singing in cheap hotels. Many nights, she and her siblings didn't know if they were going to have food or a place to sleep. What I admire most about Shania is that she never abandoned her music. Amid all that tragedy and responsibility, she kept writing songs and dreaming of a better future. And eventually, those dreams came true in the most spectacular way possible. She became one of the most successful country artists of all time, sold over 100 million albums worldwide, and proved that you can survive anything if you keep hope alive. The most important lesson. After hearing all these stories, there's one lesson that repeats itself over and over. Real success isn't measured by where you come from, but by where you decide to go. Each of these stars could have used their circumstances as an excuse to give up, but instead, they used them as motivation to fight harder. These stories teach us that adversity isn't the enemy of success, it's its toughest trainer. It forces you to develop emotional muscles you never knew you had. It teaches you to value every opportunity, to work harder than others, and to never take what you achieve for granted. Success doesn't discriminate based on the zip code where you were born, your parents' bank account, or the opportunities you had as a child. Success only recognizes one thing: the relentless determination to move forward when everything seems impossible. These 8 stories are living proof that no matter how dark your current situation is, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. But that light doesn't come alone. You have to walk towards it, step by step, day by day, no matter how many times you fall along the way. If these stories inspired you as much as they inspired me, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we have many more incredible stories waiting for you. Like if you think these stories need to be told more often, and don't forget to watch the next video on the screen where we reveal more Hollywood secrets that will surprise you.